Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Raja Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Palava Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Palava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Brahmansa Bharvakacharya to Sri Srimada's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jaya Vishnupad Brahmansa Bharvakacharya to Sri Srimada's Divine Grace the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Nishinga Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Ananta Kota Bhaktivinoda Ki. Premika Hoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinatha Sham Kunda Radhikunda Giri Govardhana Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki, Guga Mai Ki, Mai Pradama Ki, Jagat Puri Dham Ki, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Sankirtan Jaga Ki, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki, Transcendental Prasad Distribution Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki, Shri Jagat Balaram Subhadra Ki, Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar Ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki, all glories assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, this one, I'm not real good in I'm not good in Hindi. That's good. Thank you. Naste Parusha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental song is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 15, Text 4, the killing of Dhenuka, the ass demon. I got to get the meter right here. No. What was that again? Tatra Traruna Palavya Shriya Phala Pasuruno Parena Padoyo Ho Vishak Chikam Vikshya Vanaspati Muda Smayam Ivahagrajam Adiparusha. Was that the meter we had? Satatrata Satat Satatra Tra Runa Palalav Shriya Pala Pasu Nuro Parena Pandoyoho Prishakchikam Viksha Vanaspatim Muda Smayan Ivihagrajam Adi Purusha Satatra Tatraruna Palava Shriya Falapasu Noru Parena Padayoho Prishak Chikam Vikshya Vanaspatin Muda Smayam Ivahagrajam Adi Purusha Satatra Tatraruna Palava Shriya Fala Prasunuru Parena Pandayoho Sri Shakchikam Vikshya Vanaspatin Muda Smayan Ivahagrajam Adi Purushaha Tatra Tattva Palandisya Alapasuro Parena Padiyo Sri Shakchikam Viksha Vanaspati Mudha Smayani Vihagrajam Adi Purusha Satrataruna Palava Shriya Vala Pasuruna Parena Padayo Sakchikam Viksha Vanaspati Muda Mayani Vihagrajam Adi Purusha Malajis Satatra Tatraruna Palava Shriya Vala Pasurno Parena Padayaho Sri Shaktikam Viksha Saha He Tatra all around Aruna reddish Pallava Shriya Phala Prashuna Uru Barena Padoyoho
उनके दोनों चरणों को
Sprishat
छूते हुए
Sikan
उनकी डालों के सिरे
Viksha
देखकर
Vanaspatin
शानदार वृक्षों को
Mura
हर्ष से
Smayan
हंसते हुए
laughing. Oh, Eva
प्रायः
aha,
बोले
agrajam,
अपने बड़े भाई बलराम से
Adi Purusha.
आदि परमेश्वर।
Translation.
अनुवाद। आदि परमेश्वर ने देखा कि शानदार वृक्ष अपनी सुंदर लाल लाल कलियों तथा फलों और फूलों के भार से लटकर अपनी शाखाओं के सिरों से उनके चरणों को स्पर्श करने के लिए झुक रहे हैं। तब मंदहास करते हुए वे अपने बड़े भाई से बोले। तात्पर्य, मुदा स्मयन इवर शब्द इंगित करते हैं कि भगवान कृष्ण को परिहास सूझ रहा। वे जानते थे कि वृक्ष की पूजा करने के लिए सचमुच नीचे झुक रहे हैं, किंतु जैसा कि अगले श्लोक से प्रकट है, वे मित्र की तरह परिहास करते हुए इसका श्रेय अपने बड़े भाई बलराम को देते हैं।
Amaganantamagandasya Ganaganashalakaya Chakshur Unmanitam Janatasmaya Shri Gurev Namaha. Offer my humble obeisance to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So open my eyes, blinded by the darkness of ignorance, the torchlight of knowledge. We've all gone to everyone's gone to Vrindavan, correct? Everyone's seen the trees. And Lord Brahma also was looking at those trees. But he didn't really see the trees, just like we don't see the trees. Not until he understood that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Adi Purush. You see, Brahma was in illusion. He was in Maya. So therefore, he could not see Vrindavan as it really was until he became 100% humble. In Vrindavan, the Pandavas are there as trees. Every tree is a person. And they are taken the bodies of trees, and in prayer they're saying, oh, by my past misdeeds I've not been able to associate with the Lord in any other way except to be in this tree body. In the pastimes of Lord Dhanvantara, so many plants were attracted to him. And those plants were told that they would take birth as trees in Vrindavan and be introduced to Ras Leela. Actually, each tree in Vrindavan is a Kalpavriksha tree. It's a desire tree. Though not anything material. Not a good wife or not to pass an exam. They're there to fulfill our spiritual desires. If we just look at trees in the material world today, they are part of the plant kingdom. And these trees are vibrating with the frequency of life. There's a famous book called The Secret Life of Plants.
तो एक बहुत प्रख्यात पुस्तक है सीक्रेट लाइफ ऑफ प्लांट्स।
And they found that plants responded to music. Heavy metal made them grow less and become wilted. Classical music made them grow bigger and stronger.
तो उसमें बताया गया कि कैसे जो म्यूजिक है उसका भी वृक्षों पर प्रभाव होता है और भारी आवाज़ जो है उससे उनकी वृद्धि में बाधा आती है, जबकि क्लासिकल म्यूजिक सुनने से वो सुपुष्ट होते हैं और अच्छे से बढ़ते हैं।
So every tree is a living entity, and they respond to what is around them.
तो हर एक वृक्ष एक जीव है और उनके आसपास जो वस्तु है उसके प्रति वो सजग करते हैं।
And the trees in Vrindavan, they're always absorbing the vibrations of Krishna's pastimes.
और वृंदावन के वृक्ष हर समय कृष्ण की लीला में मग्न रहते हैं।
So when you take shelter of a tree, that tree has the potency to help you understand Krishna.
तो जब आप उन वृक्षों की शरण लेते हैं तो उन वृक्षों के पास शक्ति है कि वो आपको कृष्ण के पास ले सकें।
Just like in Vrindavan, it's a different vibration than in the city such as Mumbai or Baroda.
जैसे अलग-अलग शहरों की अपनी अलग वाइब्रेशन है, जैसे मुंबई और वडोदरा से तुलना में वृंदावन के अलग।
And these souls that inhabit these trees, they're anxious to offer their obeisances to the Supreme Lord.
और वृंदावन के वृक्ष जो हैं भगवान को नतमस्तक होने के लिए आतुर हैं।
Imagine when Krishna came to Mathura.
सोच सकते हैं कि जब कृष्ण मथुरा गए,
when he entered the dham, the branches of all the trees were totally attracted to him.
जब वो वृंदावन में गए तो वृक्ष की सारी शाखाएं उनके प्रति आकर्षित हो गई।
The souls are reaching out to touch his lotus feet.
तो वे जीवात्माएं भगवान कृष्ण का चरण स्पर्श करने के लिए आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं।
The cows are running to Krishna.
जो गौएं हैं वो कृष्ण की ओर दौड़ के आ रही हैं।
All the inhabitants are looking to get a glimpse of Krishna.
सारे निवासी कृष्ण का दर्शन प्राप्त करना चाह रहे हैं।
So, though the trees are thinking we must have done some sinful activities in our past life that we can't follow all of Krishna's pastimes.
हालांकि वृक्ष सोच रहे हैं कि हमारे विगत पाप कर्मों के कारण कृष्ण की सारी लीलाओं का दर्शन नहीं कर पाते।
They bow at every opportunity to touch those rarefied feet of the Supreme Lord.
फिर भी वे इस बहुत दुर्लभ अवसर को अच्छे से लेकर भगवान को प्रणाम करने का प्रयास करते हैं, उनके चरण पकड़ते हैं।
Now, trees have played a very important role in our Vaishnava tradition.
हमारे वैष्णव परंपरा में वृक्षों का महत्वपूर्ण भाग है।
Srila Prabhupada's father, Mohan Dey,
श्रील प्रभुपाद जी के पिताजी श्री गौर मोहन दे,
he built the house that Srila Prabhupada grew up in around a tree.
उन्होंने अपना घर था एक वृक्ष के आसपास बनाया था, नाम प्रभुपाद जी पले बड़े।
Just as Srila Prabhupada built our Vrindavan temple with the tree undisturbed in the courtyard.
इस तरीके से श्रील प्रभुपाद जी ने उनके कृष्ण बलराम मंदिर में उस वृक्ष को कुछ नहीं किया, वरांडे में।
And in our books we can understand that only demons cut down trees.
तो हमारे पुस्तकों में हम देखते हैं कि केवल असुरी लोग ही वृक्षों को काटते हैं।
There's a similar tree in Koladweep where Jagannath Das Babaji sat and chanted.
तो कोलद्वीप में श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी जहाँ पे विराजमान होते थे, वहाँ पे भी एक वृक्ष है।
And there's the tree in Tompkins Square Park in New York City,
तो न्यूयॉर्क में टॉम्किंस स्क्वायर पार्क में भी एक वृक्ष है,
where Srila Prabhupada finally just sat and chanted, having had no luck preaching and getting anybody interested in following this path.
जब कोई भी रुचि नहीं दिखाता था कृष्ण भगवान में, तो प्रभुपाद जी उस वृक्ष के नीचे बैठ के संकीर्तन किए।
That tree now has a plaque on it from the mayor of the city honoring the Hare Krishna movement. That tree has a sign on it honoring the Hare Krishna movement.
उस वृक्ष पे एक चिन्ह लगाया गया है वहाँ के मेयर द्वारा हरे कृष्ण आंदोलन को सम्मानित करते हुए।
Who is that tree that got that mercy?
वो वृक्ष कौन है जिसको ये कृपा मिली?
They're all living entities who are just happy to have had the association of Krishna or his pure devotees.
ये वृक्ष बहुत प्रसन्न जीव हैं जिनको कृष्ण या उनके भक्तों का संग प्राप्त हुआ।
In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 26, it's stated, Ashvata sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha naradaha gandharvanam chicharatya siddhadam kapila muni. Of all trees, I am the holy fig tree. And Prabhupada says in the purport, the fig tree is one of the most beautiful and highest trees. And there's a famous Nim tree in Yoga Pit. And there was a tree in Navadvip where Govinda Ghosh and his brothers Gopal and Vasudev stayed, and they did their worship under a very famous Tamil tree. In Navadvip, Govinda Ghosh, Gopal and Vasudev,
नवद्वीप में गोविंद घोष, गोपाल घोष और वासुदेव घोष भी वृक्ष के नीचे भगवान की अर्चना किया करते थे।
they did their worship under a Tamil tree.
वो एक तमाम वृक्ष था।
Madhavendra Puri himself is an incarnation of a Kalpavriksha tree.
माधवेंद्र पुरी स्वयं एक कल्पवृक्ष के अवतार हैं।
And when Haridas Thakur was chanting in Puri, Lord Chaitanya brought him a toothbrush. It was from a babul tree. So every day when he would wake up, Jagannath Das Babaji would wake up, Mahaprabhu would offer him a new brush. And he planted that brush in that place. What's the name of that tree? Siddhapakul tree. It was planted 500 years ago by the Lord. And it's still there in Puri. Now we may think, okay, trees are good for just spiritual vibrations. And the spiritual vibrations help us to meditate, to focus. But we know that many purposes are served by Krishna in his pastimes. So for example, the bark of that tree is good for burns. When you burn your skin. It's good for minimizes scars. And it's recommended for skin diseases. When Narada cursed that Nalakuvera and Manigriva should remain for 100 years in demigod time, it's a long time, they were condemned to the form of trees. Of course, the curse was their good fortune in that they came face to face with the Lord. So these trees these Arjuna trees. They're called Arjuna trees. When they fell to the ground by Krishna, who was tied to a mortar, and the mortar got caught between the two trees. The sound was so great that all the inhabitants of Vrindavan came to the spot of those trees. And the pastime of Krishna with trees continues. But the Arjuna tree itself also has many different properties of cleansing the blood, reducing the pitta. It's a cholesterol lowering bark. The leaves are antibacterial. And it's good for the heart. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 17th chapter, 79th verses, the pastime of Krishna manifesting a mango tree is described. It grew to full maturity right in front of their eyes. And it produced 200 seedless mangoes. And that tree produced mangoes every day for 12 months. And all the Vaishnavas used to come and eat those tasty mangoes. But you won't see that tree today, because after 1 year it disappeared. Okay, so also mango trees contain, their leaves contain a lot of compounds. Helps with diabetes, and it also has an anti-cancer effect, and it's used for stomach ulcers. So the trees may appear to just be trees, but actually all these trees in the pastime of the Lord, they have other beneficial effects to help us be able to be healthy in devotional service. Now Sukadeva Goswami, he spoke the Bhagvatam on the banks of the Ganges around a couple hours, 2-3 hours from Hardwar. It's a town called Shukratal. And there's a temple with a banyan tree which is 5,100 years old. It's called Akshaya Vat Vriksha. And that's where Shukadev and Maharaj Parikshit and 80,000 sages sat for 7 days. 24 hours a day. So there is a small temple there now, and a small deity of Lord Krishna. But the uniqueness of this particular banyan tree
इस वृक्ष की विशेषता यह है
is it does not shed any leaves.
कि उसका कोई पत्ता गिरता नहीं।
At least that's what I read. Hard to believe that a tree doesn't shed its leaves, but there it is. Now, Vyas Gadi is located about 1 kilometer from Chakra Tirt towards the south. And that temple lies under another huge banyan tree. It's said that by circumambulating that tree and tying a kalava to it, a little thread, all wishes will be fulfilled. That tree is said to be 5,000 years old. Going on about some more trees, telling us about some more trees. The yoga pit in Navadvip, in Mayapur. So at that place, there's a neem tree where Lord Chaitanya was born. And all the associates of the Lord would meet at the yoga pit to participate in his pastimes. That's why the Lord was given the name Nimai. Now, neem tastes bitter. So the ladies concluded that if they named the boy Nimai, then Yamaraj would not take the boy away, as he would be bitter. Krishnadas Kaviraj has written in the Adi Leela, chapter 10, verses 3 to 7. There's a description of Lord Chaitanya as a gardener. And the tree that he grows, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj, is inconceivable. It's all about the branches of the Chaitanya tree. The associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were many. But you cannot distinguish between greater or lesser. Krishnadas Kaviraj tries to provide all the names of the branches of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tree. And it's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charita, the first part, in the Adi Leela, chapter 10. And he's come up with at least 90 branches of that tree. Then we have the idea of the desire tree of bhakti. And that tree is now spreading its branches all over the world. And the purpose of that tree is to have the fruits distributed to everyone. So the tree is used in a figurative way, how to explain the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are other trees, for example, the Bodhi tree.
और भी वृक्ष हैं जैसे बोधि वृक्ष.
That's a tree that's in Latin called a ficus religiosa.
Ficus religiosa नाम का वृक्ष.
It's a peepal tree.
वो पीपल वृक्ष है.
Peepal trees have uncountable a number of leaves.
पीपल के वृक्ष में अनगिनत पत्तियां होती हैं.
Once Narada was coming from outer space to the earth, and when he walked on the surface, he passed a yogi.
एक बार नारद मुनि अंतरिक्ष से पृथ्वी पर आए और जब वे पृथ्वी पर चल रहे थे तब एक योगी के पास आए.
Who was sitting on a big mound, an anthill, very big anthill.
तो वो एक चीटियों के पहाड़ के पास बैठा था.
And the yogi was deep in meditation.
और वो गहन ध्यान में था.
You know the story? And the yogi immediately offered his pranams to the great sage Narada.
योगी ने तुरंत नारद मुनि को अपने प्रणाम अर्पित किए.
And he said to Narada, Narada, where are you going? He says, I'm going to see Lord Vishnu.
उन्होंने पूछा कि ये नारद मुनि आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं? नारद मुनि ने बताया कि मैं भगवान विष्णु का दर्शन करने जा रहा हूँ.
Oh, would you please ask him how many more lifetimes I have to live before I go back to Godhead?
तो उन्होंने क्या नारायण से पूछ सकते हैं कि मुझे और कितने जीवन व्यतीत करने पड़ेंगे कि जब मैं भगवत धाम जा पाऊँ.
Narada was very amenable. Certainly I will give the question. As he continued walking, he came across a devotee who was dancing under a peepal tree. With all of its uncountable leaves. So that devotee was also curious. How many lifetimes, Narada Muni, great sage, how many lifetimes must I live before I go home back to Godhead? So Narada agreed he would ask Lord Vishnu for this devotee. So finally, Narada goes back to Lord Vishnu, tells him that he met these two yogis who had these questions. And Lord Vishnu said, tell the yogi on the anthill that he has 3 more lifetimes. And tell the devotee under the tree that as many leaves as is on that tree, that many leaves he has to live in order to go back home to God. So when Narada returned to the earth, he saw the yogi and he told him, you have 3 more lives. What? 3 more after all this austerity? And he broke his concentration and fell down from on top of the anthill. And then he went reluctantly to the devotee who was dancing under the tree. And with hesitation he said to him, pointed up to the many leaves on the peepal tree and said, well, as many leaves are as on this tree, that's how many lifetimes you have to live before you go back home, back to Godhead. And the devotee started to dance more vigorously and with more energy and faster. Narada says, I don't understand. I just told you how that all these uncountable leaves, you're going to have to live that number of lives. And the devotee said, yes, I know. So I don't have much time. That's the mood of the devotee. So trees play such an important role in both the folklore and the tradition of our Krishna conscious development. The original tree of Lord Buddha was a peepal tree. And that original tree no longer exists. But a cutting from that tree was taken. And that cutting, even today by scientists, is considered to be the oldest living human planted flowering tree in the world. It's in Sri Lanka. It's known as the Jai Shri Mahabodhi. And there's a lot of history behind that tree. So then there's the example of when Lord Chaitanya was in the forest in a place called Sapta Tala. This is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Majjalila 9. The Lord went to Danus Tirtha, where he took bath in the river Nirvindya. He arrived at a place called Danus Tirtha. And he went to a forest, the Dandakaranya forest. And there he visited a place called Sapta Tala. The 7 palm trees there were very old, very bulky, and very high. After seeing the 7 palm trees, Sri Chaitanya embraced them. As a result, they all returned to Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. Of course, the people, they thought that he was an incarnation of Lord Ramachandra. Because that forest is where Lord Ram is worshipped. So when they think of the Supreme Godhead, they're always thinking of Lord Ram. So trees, I've planted well over 100 trees on my property that I have in the United States. My wife is a plant whisperer. Plant whisperer means she knows how to talk to plants. And she's able to grow not just from chanting to the trees that look like they're dying, but by chanting, she actually revives these trees.
तो जो वृक्ष जब मरने की कगार में होते हैं उनको भी मंत्र से बात करके उसको फिर से जीवित करते हैं.
So we have experience that trees are people too.
तो हमारा अनुभव है कि वृक्ष भी व्यक्तित्व हैं.
And when they fall, like one did recently here,
और जब वे गिरते हैं जैसे यहाँ पे गिरा अभी,
a devotee sees it not the same way as a non-devotee sees it.
एक भक्त उनको उस तरीके से नहीं देखता जैसे एक भक्त देखता है.
When the tree in the courtyard here was uprooted,
और जहाँ मंदिर में पीछे जब यह वृक्ष जड़ समूह में उन्मूलित हो गया,
we can understand it was that time for that tree to go back to Vaikuntha.
तो हम समझ सकते हैं कि उस वृक्ष का समय हो गया था वैकुंठ में.
Not every tree has the benefit of hearing the holy name day and night.
हर वृक्ष के पास यह सौभाग्य नहीं है कि दिन रात भगवान के पवित्र नाम सुन सके.
And when we are purified, like Lord Brahma got purified and humbled,
और जब हम शुद्ध हो जाते हैं जिस तरीके से ब्रह्मा पूर्ण रूप से विलीन हो गए थे,
we'll understand why the trees bow their branches just to get a touch of the Lord's lotus feet in Vrindavan.
तो हम समझ पाएंगे कि कैसे वृक्ष झुक जाते हैं भगवान के चरण का स्पर्श प्राप्त करने के लिए.
Now, the other part of this verse refers to Krishna's joking mood.
तो इस श्लोक का जो दूसरा भाग है वहाँ पे कृष्ण का परिहासात्मक भाव दिखाया गया.
He knew full well that the trees wanted to get darshan of his feet.
भगवान भली भांति जानते थे कि ये वृक्ष उनके चरण कमलों का स्पर्श चाहते थे.
But he jokingly said, "Oh, they're bowing to you," to his elder brother.
तो उन्होंने परिहास करते हुए भगवान जी को कहा कि आपके चरणों में सुना चाहते हैं.
So I thought to myself, well, let me speak about Krishna's joking mood. Let me find examples where Krishna's joking, like when he takes the clothes from the gopis. He's joking with, it's a kind of a joke.
तो मैंने सोचा कि भगवान की लीलाओं के बारे में सोचूं जो जहाँ पे भगवान मजाक कर रहे हैं, परिहास कर रहे हैं, जैसे गोपियों के वस्त्र चुराना.
And I started to think of other examples.
और मैं और उदाहरण सोचने लगा.
But I couldn't think of many.
तो मैं ज़्यादा नहीं सोच पाया उनसे.
And then I realized that one has to dive very deeply into the mood of Krishna.
तो मुझे ये साक्षात्कार हुआ कि भगवान के भाव में बहुत गहराई से हमें चिंतन करने की आवश्यकता है.
To really understand his being funny.
ये समझने के लिए कि कृष्ण किस रूप से परिहास करते हैं.
Certainly as a small child, his pastimes as a small child make it easier.
निश्चित रूप से जब भगवान छोटे बालक हैं तो ये हमारे लिए उस समय आसान हो जाता है.
Because he's very playful like all children.
तो वे अन्य बालकों की तरह खेल-कूद करते हैं.
But if you've noticed, as we get older, we get more serious.
तो आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि जैसे हम वयस्क हो जाते हैं तो हम ज़्यादा गंभीर होते जाते हैं.
It's hard for us to completely feel the ananda, the bliss of a child laughing.
हमारे लिए बहुत कठिन हो जाता है इसका चिंतन कर पाने कि बच्चा कैसे मुक्त रूप से खुश होके.
This is due to so many of the fruits of our karma ripening as we get older.
तो ये हमारे कर्मों के परिपक्व होने का परिणाम भी है.
And then I realized that actually Prabhupada has given us everything in his books.
और मुझे अनुभव हुआ कि प्रभुपाद जी ने हमें उनकी पुस्तकों में सब कुछ दिया है.
But like Lord Brahma,
लेकिन ब्रह्मा जी के जैसे
I was covered. I am covered. I can't see it for everything that it is.
हम आच्छादित हैं इसलिए हम सब चीजों को नहीं देख पाते.
So I decided I could talk about trees.
तो मैंने निश्चित किया कि मैं वृक्षों के बारे में बताऊंगा।
But I would have to become more humble and more serious to study Srila Prabhupada's purports and verses in order to talk about Krishna's humor.
लेकिन कृष्ण के परिहास के बारे में बताने के लिए मुझे और गंभीर और विनीत होना पड़ेगा, तभी मैं उनको बताऊंगा।
But it's all there. There's no need to go outside of Srila Prabhupada's teachings.
लेकिन यह सब वस्तुएं प्रभुपाद जी की शिक्षाओं में उपस्थित हैं, हमें उससे बाहर जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
So maybe there's some comments or some questions.
किसी को कोई प्रश्न पूछ सकता है?
Yes.
आध्यात्मिक जगत में भगवान श्री कृष्ण का जो स्वरूप है वो सच्चिदानंदमय है, तो क्या हम ये समझेंगे कि आध्यात्मिक जगत में जो वृक्ष वगैरह है वो भी सच्चिदानंदमय स्वरूप है?
In the spiritual world, the form of Lord Krishna is Satchidanand. So are the trees,
In the spiritual world, what?
form of Lord Krishna is Satchidanand. So are the trees also similarly Satchidananda?
Are we?
Are the trees?
Of course. In the spiritual world, there's a difference between the trees that manifest in Gokul and those that manifest in Golok.
निश्चित रूप से गोकुल और गोलोक में जो वृक्ष हैं उनमें भी थोड़ा भेद है।
In one sense, any living entity that manifests in Gokul is being prepared and trained to enter into Golok.
गोकुल में जो वृक्ष प्रकट हुए हैं वे प्रशिक्षित हो रहे हैं कि कैसे वो वृंदावन में प्रवेश करेंगे।
We are born, if we're purified, we are born in our next birth into Krishna's pastimes in Gokul, where there we're trained in our service to Krishna.
जब हमारा शुद्धिकरण हो जाता है तो हमारा जन्म भी गोकुल में होता है, जहाँ पे हमारा प्रशिक्षण होता है वृंदावन में प्रवेश करने के लिए।
So those trees in Gokul are thinking, what have I done in my past life that I can't follow Krishna through all his pastimes?
तो वे गोकुल के वृक्ष सोच रहे हैं कि हमने क्या किया है जिसके कारण हम भगवान के सारे लीलाओं में उनका अनुभव नहीं कर पा रहे हैं।
At the same time, they want to take the mercy from Krishna's lotus feet.
उसी समय में भगवान की कृपा भी उनके चरण कमलों के स्पर्श से प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं।
Does that satisfy your question? Any other comments or questions?
किसी और को कोई प्रश्न?
Okay. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.